you want to make battery cables for your project, but have no idea how to make battery cables for your project, I'll show you how. Make some just like that. Nice crimped, heat shrinked, nice and clean. I'll even give you the part numbers and links to where I got the stuff, just because I'm a nice guy. So here's what you'll need. I got some welding leads. That's what I've used for my battery cables. They're nice, they're flexible, they send a bunch of power through them without any problems. I believe it's 1/0. I could be wrong. I'm terrible on my sizes for my battery cables. I usually just go to the welding store, I have a little bit left, or I have a connector and I say I need a cable that fits this size, and they hook me up. Cutters. Those are linesman pliers. They work pretty good. You got to struggle just a little bit, but they do a good job. There are better cutters out there, I'm sure. That thing right there, that is the magic. It's a little crimping tool. I bought it from the welding store. I bought it from Airgas years and years ago. I've had that thing probably 15 years now. Used it tons of times. It works really good. I'll put a link. I'm sure you can get it on Amazon. I'll put a link for that. Scissors. Pretty sure you have scissors and you know how to use them. Razor blade. We'll use that to cut the insulation off of that. Make it nice and pretty. Heat shrink. That's another thing that makes this look a lot better, a lot more professional, finished, nice and clean. And heat gun or lighter or torch, any kind of heat source to shrink the heat shrink. All right, on to phase 2. And of course, battery lugs. Those were there the whole time, you just weren't paying attention. All right, now pay attention. Okay, for starters, what I like to do is hold my lug up, see how far it goes in. See how far the wire goes into the lug, kind of get a rough idea. It ain't got to be perfect. I mean, even if you have a little bit extra wire there, your heat shrink's going to cover it up. And just get as close as you can. Then I just run a razor blade around it. Usually I set it on a table, battery, any hard surface. But I just push it against it and kind of walk it around. I mean, obviously be careful because it is sharp. But you just gotta cut through the insulation, try and make the straightest line you can. There we go. Usually the wire has a certain kind of twist, and I usually just go with it, just kind of keep it clean. But then just stick that on there, make sure all your little wires are in there. The lugs that I use, it isn't the size that's recommended for the wire. I don't know why. I guess the welder has a bigger lug on it. I used to use those. They're ungodly expensive. They're like almost $6 for 2 of them. So if you're wiring up a lowrider, that gets pretty expensive pretty quick. Found these on Amazon, and the other ones had a bigger hole. They have a 1/2-inch hole, so I had to use washers with everything. You know, on batteries it was fine, but solenoids, you kind of lose threads. You know, you run out of space. So these fit a 3/8 stud perfectly. You don't have to force it on or nothing like that, but there's no wiggle room. It's good. So that's what I have in the link for these, because like I said, it took me a while to find them. Now that I found them, this is all I use. So now that you got this done, we'll move on to the crimping stage. So now we've got our wire cut, we've got our lug ready, we're ready to crimp. One thing I will suggest, try and kind of plan ahead just a little bit and go with the natural curvature, I guess you'd say, of the wire. When it comes from the store, it's wrapped up. I mean, you can flex it. Like I said, it does flex all around. But a lot of times I'll try and stick with what's already, in the wire, what the wire is already used to doing. So, say you're doing jumper wires for your batteries, going like that. Your wire is already used to going like that. So go like that. Instead of making it go like that, then your battery wires won't try and twist on you. And also, after you crimp this one, pay attention to where your lug is going to be on this. Try and keep it straight. Or if you're coming off of a battery, say like that, and you're coming over to a motor, you can kind of clock this how it needs to be to line up without having to put a twist in the wire, because as you can see, when I twist the wire, it changes shape also. Just a little thing to kind of keep in mind. It ain't going to make or break nothing, but makes it go a lot easier for you. So anyways, back to the matter at hand. We got this little tool here. It's pretty self-explanatory, really. Just put your stuff in there, knock it with a hammer one good time. And now that I messed all the wiring up, you know how you do those things 1,000 times with no problem, and then when somebody's watching you can't do it? That's how this is right now. Get in there. I guess I could just set the lug in there. Alright, what I've learned from previous experiences, I usually hold them when I go to hammer it in there, because I have crushed this down and the wire pop out. And like I said, the lugs I was using are rather expensive, so when you mess one of them up, you kind of get mad. And also you need a hammer. I didn't show that before. You were paying attention to that. I just wasn't. Yep, had a hammer here the whole time. So you weren't paying attention. I usually use a decent little hand sledge, small sledge. It works pretty good. You could use a regular hammer, but it'd probably be there a little bit longer. But normally you can just give it a few light taps. Usually the first tap is good, but I usually go 2 or 3 times just to be sure. And there you have it. A nice solid crimp. You could tow a car with that thing. Probably not. But it is stronger. It's way better than soldering. I used to solder these. If you're using it with like a stereo or hydraulics, these things heat up, believe it or not. And solder comes undone with heat. So that's why I started crimping them. And next we got our heat shrink. Cut about 1 inch or so off. You can measure it. I usually just go about that. I would use the scissors on this for sure, and not a razor, because you really want one smooth cut, unlike what I just did. But it is smooth. You can see it there. If you use a razor, you'll get jagged little cuts. Actually, there's a jagged cut right there, so I'm going to cut that off. That will definitely show up when you go to shrink it. Yeah, much better. And just slide it right over. Usually I put it right about there. You can put it up further. It just depends on what you want. It's your preference. It's your wire. And we get a little bit of heat. Maybe. I'm going to move all this before I shrink all that, because that would suck. And there you have it. Simple. Just got to buy the right tools. So there you have it. Easy. So now you know that. Go out and build your stuff. One more thing I will say. When I'm running battery cables, usually I'll do one side, kind of bolt it to whatever I'm working on, and then run it over to what else I'm connecting it to. Just kind of holds it in place for you. Gives you a little bit better measurement, if you're snaking it down a frame, or not a frame, well, frame. If you're snaking it down a frame or a battery rack, just makes it easier. So, if that helped you, hit the like button. If it didn't help you, hit the like button. Share it, subscribe, and check out all the other videos. Try and help out everybody as much as I can. If you have any suggestions, let me know. If it's something I have laying around, I'll take it apart, or if I'm fixing it already, win-win. Other than that, appreciate you watching. See you on the next go-around.
What seems to be the problem?
Good shot. Got away free. It lives to die another day.
Is it too late to save your soul? If death